Very good morning to friends of the media. Thank you for joining me today at Oasis Primary here in Punggol. The last few weeks when I took over MOE, when I joined MOE, my priority has been to undergo briefings to understand the lay of the land when it comes to the education landscape, all the way from preschool to IHLs and lifelong learning. It's a broad expanse to cover. I want to thank my colleagues for giving my colleagues and I a good briefing. At the same time, we've had many meetings with stakeholders, with educators, engaged parents and other stakeholders, and this work will continue. Now that we are in the new school term, I've started my visits to schools, starting with Oasis Primary. And over the next few months and years, I'll continue to visit our schools, primary and secondary schools, our SPED schools, our institutes of higher learning, our JCs. Okay, I think that's the period bell. I was afraid it was my handphone. It's not. Yeah. So I'll continue to visit. Gives me an opportunity to be updated as to how our schools operate and our pedagogies that we incorporate in our teaching. It gives me an opportunity to speak to my colleagues, our educators, our stakeholders, our parents, alumni, and others who are interested in the education scene, and give me an opportunity to identify areas that we need to work on collectively. At the same time, here this morning at Oasis, you've joined me to do a sampling of classes to better understand how we teach and how we instill values in our children. In Oasis Primary, we attended an English class which focused not just on literature, but also took the opportunity to engage the children on diversity, on embracing differences, on tolerance and respect. So you see an infusion of 21st century competencies being taught through academic subjects. And so that brings the subject matter alive and doesn't just give our children a foundation in the subject, but also uses the opportunity to get them to think critically, to get them to think thoughtfully, to engage with classmates, and to think about how they relate to people who are different from themselves. I thought that was very interesting. Then we went for an art class. I was particularly stressed because art has not been one of my strong subjects, but it was very nice to see the art teacher carrying through the themes using superhero imagery and themes in order to get the children to think about what they would like to do to help others around them. And apart from focusing on their own designs and promoting individual creativity, I also saw the class engage in group work, getting them to interact with one another. You can see leadership in action, you see collaboration in action, cooperation, give and take, and also working towards a product that is bigger than the sum of the individual parts. And so that was very encouraging. I also had the opportunity to visit the MK, the MOE kindergarten here at Oasis Primary. And it's always very delightful to be in a preschool. The guides who brought me around were formerly from that MK, and they continued into the primary school here in Oasis Primary. And you see the close interface and collaboration between the MK as well as the primary school. And my colleagues at the MOE curriculum department have been working very closely with EGDA as well as our MKs and primary schools to make sure that in our nurturing early learners framework, we strengthen the seamless connection from preschool curriculum all the way to primary school so that our K2s have the requisite basic foundation when they enter primary school. And I think that's an important area we want to continue to look at. I also attended the mother tongue lessons. I saw a class, a Malay class, as well as a Chinese language class, and how the teachers use music, dance, kung fu, physical calligraphy in order to strengthen our children's first love and curiosity for the mother tongue, and to create a suitable and rich learning environment here in the MK for them to start a lifelong love for mother tongue and for bilingualism. And we want to also encourage our parents to recreate and continue that environment at home, and certainly for stakeholders in the community in the surrounding neighborhoods as well. In terms of my priorities, there are many things we want to look at. Our education system has come a long way. It's a continuous work in progress, and it's to the credit of our educators, past and present, who have continued to strengthen our education system. Now, a lot of us, whether we are parents, whether we are employers, stakeholders in the community, we know that it's important for us to have a good foundation, be able to reason, to be able to have judgment. And in that sense, our academic pursuits are not unimportant. But many of us know instinctively in our workplace, in the school environment, in the community, that social emotional skills are very important. Understanding, compassion, being able to empathize, being able to express yourself appropriately, being able to navigate challenging environments, being able to self-regulate, being able to pull people together, being able to forge understanding and respect amidst diversity, and so on and so forth. All these social emotional skills actually sometimes can be more important than just your academic hard knowledge. And that has been MOE's focus, and that is an area that I would like to continue to work with stakeholders, work with my colleagues, work with educators who are so passionate about this, to continue to fine-tune, improve, and strengthen our education system in order for us to shift away from an emphasis on competition around grades to an emphasis on helping our children develop a lifelong passion for learning, for curiosity. We don't want that to stop when you finish formal schooling. We want to be able to plant that seed that will keep growing in us, in our hearts, in our minds, all through life. And that has been the abiding mission of our educators in our schools. And we want to really make that generational shift. It will take time, and we require three parties to play a part: our preschools, our primary schools, as well as our parents, so that our children start off in early childhood education as well as in primary school on the right footing with the right nurturing environment for that to happen. Igniting a passion for learning, curiosity for the world around them, and good value system that just keeps improving through life. I also want to look at, and that's why we visited the MK and the primary school, to continue to strengthen that interface, the symbiosis between early childhood education, which is provided not just by MKs but by a diverse range of stakeholders, a rich diversity in our preschool sector, with our primary school and our general education sector. And that seamlessness, you can see the MKs. I understood that our MK students not only have a good foundation in preschool education, but also interact with the primary schools. They have a buddy system, they go to the canteen, they are prepared well for the primary school environment and not just the primary school teaching pedagogies. And we want to see how we can continue to strengthen that. In particular, better supporting children in preschool from lower income backgrounds. So that's one. The second is, as I mentioned, how can we continue to work with our educators, work with stakeholders and parents to continue to improve our education system in order to focus more and more on social emotional skills, on 21st century competencies, and to continue to spark that joy of learning. That's second. Third is, how can our schools and our educators better partner the community around us in our immediate environment to better support children from more challenging backgrounds, from low-income backgrounds. Many of them may be members of our ComLink Plus club. I called it a club. How can we better, how can MOE and our schools better support ComLink families in order to give them a good start in life? And many of you know that I call it a bit of a triangle. housing, education, and jobs and skills. If you can take care of them and all stakeholders pitching in to support these families, I think we give them a better shot in achieving stability, self-reliance, and ultimately social mobility. So there are many areas we're looking at. It's still early days. We have some early ideas of what we need to look at, but it's a learning journey as much for me as it is for all of us here in the education system. It's a continuous work in progress, and I look forward to partnering our educators, learning from our teachers, learning from our master teachers, learning from our stakeholders, listening to our parents, so that we collectively take responsibility for improving the environment for our children to be ready for a more complex world ahead of us. Thank you.
So we spoke about how to link the primary school with the kindergarten, so how seamless it is. So do we have plans to have more kindergarten to sit inside the primary school campus in the future? Can we expect that in the future?
Yeah.
And 我的第二个问题是关于双语教育的，就是你今天走访了这个幼儿园，然后你的感受是什么？然后你自己对于这个双语教育的看法又是什么？然后未来我们就是有什么样的初步的想法，要进一步的去提升我们这方面双语的优势。
好 So our preschool landscape is diverse and rich, and we are the better off for it. But MKs allow us an opportunity to test bit ideas, for us to be able to look at enhancements to preschool pedagogies. And parents actually do appreciate the siting of MKs within our primary schools. And the MKs will be one of many offerings that are available for parents to choose from. So you have anchor operators, partner operators, SSA preschools, you have private sector preschools, and of course you have MKs that give parents diversity and choice. And I think that richness is of benefit. But having said that, it is important for us to partner our stakeholders, ACDA, MOE, working together with MKs, with our AOPs, POPs, and other preschools to continue to strengthen the interface between preschool and primary school so that our children are prepared well for primary school. The demands of primary school are not very great. We want to enrich our children's learning and not overly accelerate it. And therefore, our preschools and primary schools can continue to strengthen that interface, that linkage. And it's both macro and micro. Macro in that we set out to strengthen that linkage. Micro in the sense that a lot of it is community-based, neighborhood-based linkages, building relationships between our principals in our primary schools as well as the principals in our preschools in the neighborhood. Because that's where most of our preschoolers are going to, primary schools largely near to your home. So that's an area that's been worked on for many years, but we can continue to enhance and strengthen that. In the sense, MOE's Nurturing Early Learners framework is a very good starting point. It's a continuous work in progress, and we want to continue to work with our partners through ACDA, through MOE, and with the rich preschool sector to be able to make that even more beneficial for our children. Now, in terms of bilingualism, it's a strength for Singapore. It anchors our cultural identity within the larger identity of being Singaporean. And we want to continue to better support bilingualism in an environment where we tend to speak more English in the workplace, in the community, and at home. Many of us, when we grow up and when you go overseas, when you start work, when you pursue your higher learning, we come to realize the importance of mother tongue and bilingualism in connecting us not just with our family, friends, our seniors, and our community, but also give us a cultural ballast and richness in our identity. And from a utilitarian, pragmatic point of view, it connects us with the region and the world. And that is an advantage that we have in Singapore, and we want to continue to strengthen that. To do that in an environment where we are more English speaking at home and in the community for all ethnic groups means that we must continue to be deliberate in partnering all our stakeholders in our preschools, in our mainstream schools, in our institutes of higher learning, in our community to create opportunities for a richer bilingual environment in order for the mother tongue to be used and to be mainstreamed in daily interactions. So you saw earlier in the MK, in all our MKs, we offer all three mother tongues, and we want to see that that approach excite our children, normalize their use of mother tongue from an early age. And I think when you start young, we have a better chance of that following us all through life. The use of EdTech, the use of the student learning space and other tools, not just books and interactive classes, but also technology and rich resources that are created, for example, through the Lee Kuan Yew Bilingualism Fund and supported by the fund, help to ensure that we continue to partner stakeholders who generate good content that support mother tongue as well as bilingualism.
We have time for two questions.
Mr. Lee, I'm Alicia from the Straits Times. Just touching back on what you said just now about what you observe about use of digital devices for collaborative learning. So now with the recent chatter about the prevalence of AI and what it means in terms of learning and fairness in assessment, how do you see MOE approaching that subject and what is the new way forward? And secondly, from your previous experience in MND and knowing that you have a penchant for the environment, do you hope to bring all these values and ideas to the school arena?
You need another hour for me to answer that. I'm happy to answer that, actually. Sure, okay. So I need to look at her to respond. Okay. Your first question is about devices and the use of AI in the education system. We want to make sure that we prepare our children, prepare young Singaporeans well for the changing environment. AI, generative AI, all these are technologies that will come what may. And it's very important to make sure that as educators, as community partners, we prepare our next generation well for an era where AI will be very pervasive in all aspects of life, work, community, life, health, and so on. But in doing so, we want to make sure that our children have a good foundation that gives them a curiosity to explore, to innovate, to question, to be accommodative of diverse opinions. And that requires them to pick up very essential intellectual as well as social, emotional skills. And in MOE's approach to AI and to technology, I think we can broadly pocket it into a few areas. The first is we must first be age appropriate in the usage of AI in the classroom environment. And we want to start off by sharing and teaching children what is AI, what it is and what it is not, what it can do and what it cannot do, what its inherent limits are and what its potential is. And in that regard, we are still exploring the frontiers of this burgeoning field. So what is AI? Then secondly, we want to teach our children, our youth, how to use AI. And the tools are myriad, more and more coming on stream, but we want to be able to give our children, our youth, the basics in how to use AI and how to use it appropriately. And then thirdly, how to learn with AI. Not to use AI to supplant your learning, but to use AI to enrich and empower your learning of fundamentals and of social emotional skills. And in that regard, I think it's important for us, even as AI is able to perform many tools, mundane tasks, as well as more complex tasks, we want to make sure that our children and youth and young working adults eventually still have the strength in judgment, in reasoning, and have sufficient underlying knowledge. So I'll give you an example. If you are a young lawyer, you know that actually you can use some of these AI tools to generate submissions, for example. But if you have experience, if you have a good grounding in legal knowledge, you will be able to discern whether the products of AI meet your needs or not, and whether you can improve on the products that AI has generated. And you can tell what is right, what is wrong, what is real and what is not, and what is right for your situation. And that means that AI cannot supplant learning. It must enable it. And so this is an area where we continue to develop and improve. actually all countries around the world are grappling with the appropriate use of AI and how to use AI to enrich learning. I was at CIMIO recently in Brunei Darussalam, and I had many engagements with my counterparts from ASEAN countries as well as CIMIO associate members. They shared with us that they too are continuing to explore the boundaries and the opportunities for AI in learning. The other question was about how nature-based learning can enrich pedagogy, can enrich our students' learning experience, can connect them better with the world around them. And I think the eco-stewardship program is a very good foundation upon which our children pick up the important lessons to prepare us well for an era of climate change. And we really want to, through the eco-stewardship program, develop in our children the spirit of stewardship, for them all to be not just stewards of the environment, stewards of nature, but to be stewards of our resources and to be altruistic and kind for the environment around them, for the people, for the plants and animals and so on. And so I see greater opportunities for us to partner environmental groups, nature groups, to bring nature into the classroom and to bring our children out into nature for wellness, for learning, and to use the classroom around us to reinforce the learning that takes place in school.
One last question. Yeah, Minister, you mentioned, in the first part, reducing the overemphasis on stress and competition and grades in school.
Yeah.
There's been a number of policies that have been rolled out in the past years to address this, but I want to get, if you could give us an idea of what MOE is looking at in the short term in the future, like what are the other policy areas that you want to address to alleviate this problem?
Yes. So this is a work in progress. You've seen how over the last many years we have moved away from an overemphasis on pure academic pursuits to infusing in our classroom values-based education, citizenship and values education. We have made moves in order to create time and space for our children and our students to explore, to pursue things that they enjoy. For example, in primary 1 and 2, we removed all weighted assessments so that our children focus on developing that joy for learning, to be able to learn at different pace for children who have slightly different starting points when they join us, to be able to explore. And then removing mid-year exams for all primary and secondary schools, again creating time and space for our youth to explore and to be creative and to be innovative. At the same time, we also recognize that this is not just something that educators can pursue on their own, but we need a strong partnership from parents as well as the community in order to create a conducive environment at home, in the community, in the workplace, as much as it is in the classroom, for that emphasis on life skills, on values, and on developing wisdom, and not just pure academic pursuit. So there are many more things that we need to look at, but I think when it comes to the education system, we want to keep improving, but we need to engage widely, engage deeply, better understand what the ideas are before we pursue them.